So going off of that, I'm wondering if we can comment about how each of us have found that our backgrounds and our trainings in science have helped us to think about how to serve God or how to walk out the Christian faith because of our background in science.
I think because I studied chemistry in graduate school, I gained an appreciation for how difficult chemistry is in the hands of man. It took me 5 or 6 years to try to replicate what a natural organism does, in a couple hours in water as a solvent. Really incredibly difficult things that I couldn't do. And so it really gives me this sense of awe, and it produces within me a sense of humility when I see that even the best technologies that we have in chemistry today don't even come close to what a natural organism can do.
Yeah, when you say that, that's the two words that I wrote down in preparing for this, is awe and humility. Just to see the amazing, intricate design that God's put in the genetic code of every organism when I'm studying genetics, and the on-off switches that happen to turn genes on. And it's just amazing how it works, and feedback loops that turn things on and turn things off and scales down the volume. And it's awe-inspiring. And then that just immediately for me too follows with humility. Just like, oh my gosh, I only have a scratching knowledge of the surface of what genetic complexity is. And it just leads me to appreciate how much care and design and thoughtfulness that God has put into his creation, which is just very humbling. Yeah.
I think also, like for me too, in graduate school, I also studied neuroscience, and also not just the molecular mechanisms, but also the behavioral aspect as well, behavior and also learning. And humans have this capability to be able to learn and to, and also different etiologies of diseases that affect our brains as well. And just to mimic that in mice organisms and to see how there's so much dysregulation that affects these in vivo organisms, and just to learn how we can really try to understand this molecular basis of these diseases, and just understand how God is really in control of even these smallest molecular mechanisms, and just understand the dysregulation that's caused by sinfulness of our human nature as well, in terms of addiction, emotional disorders, etc.
I love hearing each of you talk about your particular perspective of passion related to science, and it fits with my study of human behavior. And just watching you speak, your persona changes. You get shiny eyes when you start to talk about those kinds of things. And I think that's one of the beauties of science, is that we have the ability to ponder, to study, to investigate, and to stay curious until we can figure it out.
What I see is, from the physics side, is the other direction. You guys are looking under the microscope at the biology side. I step back to astronomy, which is one of my favorite areas in physics, and the Hubble Deep Field photos and so on, where we get a scale looking the other direction on a microscope at a telescope, at the scale of what God has made. And at that scale, you see the same balance and tuning and precision and design on a scale that's really mind-boggling, because it's bigger than me, way bigger than me. And what that returns me to is, well, duh. Our definition of God is Nicene Creed, Apostles' Creed. God's the creator of heaven and earth. And so we're just seeing all the things that God has made. And that's our definition of God. Who did this? Well, we worship the God who did this. It's just cool to see.
Yeah. I love that Scripture kind of calls everybody to be scientists in a way, too. That in the Psalms are constantly reflecting on God's creation and asking us to give glory to him, and asking us to wonder, when I consider the heavens and the work of your hands. And it's fun that we get to use more complicated tools like microscopes and atomic force microscopes and telescopes and stethoscopes to understand that at a deeper level. But one of the things I have when my students do in some of my classes, is rewrite Psalms applicable to the scientific material that they're studying. So take a Psalms that says, when I consider the stars, and you replace that with what are you learning in organic chemistry, or what are you learning in genetics? Like rewrite this psalm, like do what Scripture tells you to with the stuff that you're learning right now, which is a fun assignment for them, I think. That gets them to be a little bit creative, and then kind of models what God calls us to do when we see wonder and design as creation is to worship Him. So.
I had a student, I have a similar assignment. I had a student who wrote about, in one of her weekly papers, that wrote about day to day that the earth pours forth speech, and night to night it reveals knowledge. I think it's Psalm 19. And she wrote that was particularly meaningful for her because she was on night shift and hating it, and knowing that even in the midst of a challenging time that there was opportunity for learning and knowledge and growth.
Yeah.
Biola University offers a variety of biblically centered degree programs, ranging from business to ministry to the arts and sciences. Visit biola.edu to find out how Biola could make a difference in your life.